Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Driftin and Driftin. I'm Reverend Billy C. Wirtz, your host. And as always, it's a pleasure to have my artist of the week with me. And tonight, especially so. This is a young man. I've heard some of his music, great writing, great music. And it's a pleasure to welcome him. Toronzo Cannon, welcome to Driftin and Driftin.
How you doing? Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Chicago.
Great to have you, man.
Thank you.
I've been listening to your music, looking up your information. First of all, I got to start off. Toronzo itself is a kind of an interesting name. Where does what's the origin of that?
My grandfather wanted it to sound more Native American, because we have Native American blood. So Toronzo was created, and I found out through a mistake in Facebook that there's several different Toronzos.
Right.
So I mean, scattered throughout the world, and I'm the oldest. For some reason, I don't know if they saw my name, but it's just, there's like several different Toronzos. There's a Japanese Toronzo, and it's like, okay, a first name,
Sure.
So
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, cool. Tell us about your flag.
Oh, this is the Chicago flag. I thought when you Google it, it says Chicago has the most recognizable flag, but I found out that a lot of people don't know what flag it is, so I guess I'm doing my part in making it the most recognizable, or maybe it's the most recognizable for Chicagoans.
Well, no, it's a good thing to spread, and like you said, to represent. Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm looking at your background, and first of all, it felt good because I didn't really start playing piano seriously till I was in my 20s. And I always felt these other guys that started when they were 8 and 10, they've been playing since they were kids. And then looking, it says that you didn't really start playing guitar till you were like 22. Is that right?
Yeah. I bought like my first acoustic kind of, I didn't actually, my sister bought it because she was practicing piano and she was kind of running through the house saying, who's, do you want to play? And at that time I was listening to a lot of John Cougar and Bob Marley, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so it was like acoustic sounds or whatever. And she bought me a guitar, I bought my first electric in 94, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Musical family? Yeah. Anybody else?
No, just me. My grandfather used to kind of sit on the porch and play a little 3-string guitar, but when he had a sip, you know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
But other than that, that was about it,
Okay. So now did you take lessons, or you self-taught, or a little bit of both?
Self-taught. I along with the guitar, the $99 Harmony that my sister bought me, which I didn't realize I was left-handed until I picked it up like this. I came into this whole thing, man, just innocent, naive. I didn't know I was a left-handed guitar player until the little string was on the top, and I had been looking at so many Bob Marley videos at the time and John Cougar and all that stuff. I said, I think that big string need to be on the top. So we went back to the place and the guy changed it for me. But as far as I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I 4 lessons came with it. 4 lessons, and I only got to 3 of them because the guy was like teaching me like some kind of country and western kind of stuff. And I'm like, I want to play reggae. I want to play some reggae chords. That's what I kept saying. He was like, they're chords. They're not reggae chords. They're not, R&B chords or whatever the case is. But I kept saying reggae chords.
Right. Oh well.
So I didn't go for the last. I didn't go for the last 30-minute session. So I think I owe my sister some money.
Right. That's okay. Yeah. I stopped when they wanted. I after Ballad of the Green Berets, I went off on my own. And it said, okay, go from here. So, at any rate, so before you played guitar, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, wow, I was wanted to be a social worker. I was going. I went to junior college here in Chicago, Truman. And after that, I went to Northeastern, which is like a 2-year college. And I was going to be, going for social work. And then CTA called me back, which is a Chicago Transit Authority, a bus driver, driving for the city. I thought that was just going to be just like a job to kind of get me past the summer, do whatever, because it was a summer job before in 87, right after high school. And come to find out, it was like, what? The money was kind of good. Things kind of rolling. So I kind of, I think they used to call it a gap year, or they just start calling it a gap year when you don't go straight to college and finish it and stuff.
Right.
But my gap year was 27 years. So I paid the loan back. Actually, I just got like my financial aid. I paid that back like right away because I didn't even finish it. And then my credit score went up, which was cool. And I started driving CTA. And 27 years later, here I am.
Okay, as a fellow writer, first of all, when they told me when the Chicago Transit Authority, I thought they were telling me that you had played with 25 or 60 with the group Chicago. No.
Yeah.
At any rate,
I was the 12th member that they never talked about.
Right. You must have gotten mountains of material from driving the bus.
Yeah, in the beginning, I would go out to jams at Blues, etc., and the local joints here in Chicago, Kingston Mines, Buddy Guys mostly. But I wasn't thinking about writing at the time. It was just kind of like I just liked the camaraderie of musicians, and I wasn't thinking about getting a band. It was just like every Wednesday night, Monday and Wednesdays, that'll be my jam thing. I'll learn some things, and then I'll try to retain it and take it on stage.
Right.
Yeah, so that was that. But I did get a wealth once I started realizing that I was in like life, and I can write from this if I just look at things and just say, wow, that's a song, that's material, that came years later.
But tell me about like being a bus driver, about some of the people you ran into, or there's, some of the, that must have been just like every day, a new kind of.
You mix up in it. Put it this way, buses don't have metal detectors. You know what I mean? And I worked in some pretty, happening neighborhoods that were kind of like tents, economically deprived and the whole thing. So I would work from the west side to the east side, and I passed several different tax brackets, So, when you got I guess some people say you use your third eye, when you start seeing things like that, you start getting material, you start hearing conversations about, a woman saying, it's around Christmas time, I need to get me a man, something like that, so I would listen to conversations, and then, just kind of try to write down skeletons of songs. I would jump off the bus, and in my phone, I would, create a moan or kind of hum the tone of what I wanted to play. And then I'll try to get home and try to, piece it together on the guitar. So yeah, there was a lot of that, about maybe 15 years of my 27 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that I noticed in your music, it reminded me a lot of, ZZ Hill and the later day, blues guys, the sort of the post down home blues movement was to, hang on, I'm losing my headphones here. Universal themes.
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to. And a lot of them have to do with relationships gone wrong, or trouble in the home. And I hear you doing everything from open house. I mean, everybody knows about My Good Thing to Walk It Off. You do a lot of domestic, you tell good domestic stories, and the audience, I guess, really locks into that, no matter where you are.
Again, and then too, I try to write from the, of course, ZZ Hill is everybody knows about My Good Thing, but my particular writing style, I try to stay away from My Woman Left Me kind of songs, you know what I mean? And talk about, again, like real issues about, like we talk about midlife crisis, or the song When Will You Tell Him About Me, about a man want to take care of a woman. It's not all about like, I got my clothes and I'm packing up and I'm leaving. It's not all about that, So I try to write from that standpoint, I mean, there's enough songs out there about my woman left me kind of stuff,
Sure.
Yeah.
So tell me about the first time that you went on stage, as a paid.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was at Harlem Avenue. Well, you mean under my own name or Sideman?
Yeah, under your own name.
Under my own name. It was at Harlem Avenue. It was a local joint here in the suburb of Chicago. And a guy named Kenny Zimmerman, he gave me my first gig. And it was cool, man. It was like June 7th of 2001. And I remember I went to Seattle that early that summer, that spring. I went to Seattle, and I used a picture for that, for my first paid show, and it was cool. I played sideman. I thought that was the way to go, the trajectory, as you become a sideman first, and then you go through the certain thing. Like in Chicago, they always had this type of template that you had to go through to do this, and I thought that was the way to do it. Become a sideman first, learn the game, and then do your own thing.
Right.
But then they would say, well, you have to start working on Tuesdays first, and then Wednesdays before you get a weekend, and and I couldn't do it because I was a bus driver.
I see.
So I worked Monday through Thursday, 10 hours, and then I would try to get my gigs Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is my God, I'd rest. You know what I mean? So
sure. Right.
And so I can wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock Monday morning and do it all over again.
I hear you talking about reggae and John Cougar and some other styles. How did you transition from that over into the blues?
I grew up in the blues. Like my grandparents raised me. So I grew up and I didn't know it was blues. I wasn't kind of like, I couldn't distinguish whether Little Walter from Al Green. It was just kind of like, okay, I know it sounds a little bit more modern or whatever, but I was a kid, just grew up in a household of that. But when I grew up, I was listening to people like Devo or Blondie, the child of the 70s and 80s, Shaka Khan, Parliament Funkadelic, that kind of thing. And then my brother started bringing in pop, like a new wave. They call it new wave at the time. And then, you get some Bob Marley stuff and Third World. And I was listening to this stuff. So when I got, when I wanted to play guitar, I wanted to play reggae, but there was no reggae jams. Everything was a blues jam. There's a blues jam everywhere. And when I did play my reggae band or play with a reggae band for about a year, I tried to get another reggae band and they were kind of like, we got our people, that kind of thing. So I figured, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to play, blues, stuff that I grew up around that I didn't know was blues, but I'm going to play, I'm going to play my music, So I formed a blues band. And first year was 2001, but like 2000 maybe, I was kind of getting together with guys and we're trying to get stuff together, and then I finally got my own band in 2001. Yeah. But we had been hanging together before then, and just trying to get things together and get put on because people were like, oh no, we got the people, and there's certain places like in Chicago they had set bands every day, right? And it was hard to get in, right? It's hard to get in the rotation because when you got people like Carlos Johnson and Carl Weathersby and Sugar Blue and Billy Branch, sure, you're like, hey, I'm Toronzo, can I play? Get out of here, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm in the land of giants,
Oh yeah, but what a great place to be, if you're going to be playing that. Yeah, that's. I have a question. When I was up there in '79 with Sunnyland Slim, there was a period of time there that the blues was not very fashionable, shall I say, in the African American community, especially with the younger audience. It was seen as kind of, old timey.
Your grandfather's music,
right?
Yeah.
Has that changed at all? Is there more of an acceptance now?
I think there's some acceptance a little bit. You got with people like guys like Gary Clark that's kind of bringing it over. He's being accepted in circles of like Beyonce and, and the Jay-Z's and the younger generation, but he's bringing blues, the roots, like rap groups are, so he's kind of bringing it in, but then now you got this pandemic thing going on, but he crossed a lot of, he kind of blurred the lines a little bit, which was cool. But as far as like if you go on the South Sides and West Sides, they say Black people don't listen to blues anymore. They still on the South and West Side. You still got it going on, I mean, there are holes in the wall. They're not as maybe popular as North Side clubs, but you there was a place when I played sideman on the South Side. I mean, it'd be bigger than probably like my room. A place called Gladys's or Doris's 111 Club. I played with LV Banks. Linda's was the name. Linda's. It's a small place, but they be in there rocking, you know what I mean? And
Oh, the
and
vibe and the vibe in those places is
oh
just
yeah, yeah. Lee's Unleaded Blues. I was playing there for a while. You know, even though I was considered the North Side musician because that's where I cut
yeah.
that's where I cut my teeth. You know, but then that opens up a whole new kind of thing because when you consider the North Side blues, man, that means you're not as authentic. But then when I came with it, it's like, oh, okay, now you can't see if I'm a North or South or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But then too, I would do my own songs. Places like South and West Side blues, they do a lot of covers, you know, and they know like hundreds of songs and cover, which is it has its market, it has its thing. But my thing was I wanted to do my originals, and I'll give you some covers,
Right.
but I always want to do my originals, you know.
Huh.
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting because they're more like they want the traditional chess, the old chess stuff, and that kind of thing that everybody knows.
Chess or Al Green or Bobby Blue Bland.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when I was playing sideman in some of these places, it's like, man, and that's how I think a lot of Chicago musicians, that's how they cut their teeth. Because if you're a sideman, you got to know all of these songs.
Sure.
Like, and everybody's, you know, I mean, Johnny Taylor. I mean, it was on. And I'm like, and for me, I knew enough, but my attention span was like, I don't wanna play. I hate to sound like Jimmy because Jimmy didn't want to play other people's music either. But it's like I didn't want to play Bobby Blue Bland and or not Bobby, but Tyrone Davis and all that stuff all night, every night.
Right.
You know, because at that time my mind was expanding about, okay, I can take a rhythm that kind of sound like this and put my own words in it. You know.
Sure.
So that's when I kind of stopped being a sideman because I just didn't want to. You know, I want to do my own thing. You know. And it's good. I mean, they have their market. I mean, you run all night, you know. I don't know if you knew Killer Ray Allison. He was Buddy Guy's drummer and Muddy Waters' drummer for a long time. And you know, he kind of ruled the South Side, you know, in certain spots. But my thing was I just didn't want to keep playing the same stuff over, you know.
Right.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, that's interesting that it's split up like that into that whole regional, you know, and it goes by North. Yeah. Wow, amazing. You know, we all of us creative types have some bad habits that we have to deal with. You know, what's one of your bad habits that you have to work on to stay productive?
Well, now that I'm retired now, it's I'm waking up with the sun and just trying to get my head together. Like I'm not regimented. I don't, like when I was on the bus, I knew I had to be at work at a certain time. I'll always have my pencil and paper in my pocket. So when I got a thought, I can write. So now I guess my advice now is it's just, I'm a man of leisure. And it's feeling like too much leisure. You know, I bought a thing called a one wheel. Which is like I
saw that after you told me, and I'm going, oh no.
You know, I'm buying, you know, I got helmets and stuff now, man. You know what I mean? Of course, with the flag on it, you know what I mean? You know, but it's kind of like,
let me see the helmet. Put the helmet on for a minute. Let me see the helmet.
Oh, put the helmet on it?
Yeah.
Hello. And you know, I made a joke when I first bought this helmet, man. I don't know if you remember the '68 Democratic National Convention where the cops were beating everybody up.
Yeah.
I bought the helmet because it matched the blue of the skateboard or whatever, right? As soon as I put the helmet on, I'm like, oh my God, I look like the policeman in '68.
Oh, that's great, man. Thank you so much.
I apologize to all the hippies that I make feel, you know, nervous when they see me drive down the street.
Yeah. So tell me tell me about the one wheeling. You know, tell the folks out there because that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's like I guess they would call. See, I wasn't a skateboard guy. At 12 years old, we all in the neighborhood we had skates or whatever.
Right.
But when I retired, I got like a regular skateboard. It's just kind of like, okay, let me, you know, try to keep active. Okay, you know, this retirement.
Right.
And then I realized, I'm like, oh, they got motorized skateboards. So I bought a motorized skateboard. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool, you know. My hair blowing in the wind, whatever, you know. And So then
You're a funny
I
guy.
saw that. Well, it happens. You lose your
No,
hair.
yeah,
When maybe not you. You got all your hair, so which is cool. Your freak flag is flying, which is cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's left of it?
So
Yeah,
yeah, right on. But and then they got this thing called a one wheel where it's
yeah.
oh my God, it looks like this. It
Right.
looks like that. Yeah. And it's just like a one wheel thing, and you kind of balance on it. And that's been just super like cool. And I've been doing that now for the past week and a half, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And the one wheel community is like inviting, and everybody's nice, and we go riding and all that stuff. So,
Wow.
but as far as my vice, that's turned out to be my vice now. So I need to get regimented again, like put my alarm clock on.
Right.
I got my books of, my stacks of songs over there. I'm looking at them now. They're looking at me too. Hello, stacks of songs. And and I just need to be regimented, and completing the songs and stuff like that,
What kind of movies do you like to watch?
Oh wow. Like suspense kind of things. I've been looking at a lot of well, not documentaries, but how they're like different episodes of things. Lovecraft Country was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That was an HBO thing. And there was another thing that I was looking at that I got railroaded into. The Bradenton is Netflix stuff. It's about some kind of royal family kind of stuff. I think it's kind of like a chick flick, but I got roped into looking at it, and I was like, okay, all right, yeah, but I like, sci-fi, like Denzel kind of movies where he's like, going to save individuals and all that stuff, the Equalizer and all that kind of stuff,
What kind of books do you read?
Man, I haven't read a book in a while, man. I'm ashamed to say. I've been trying to write my own book as far as my music or whatever. So just like now, like I say, even though I should be regimented, I feel like I don't have the time to do that. So
Understood.
I've been meaning to complete the Shaka Khan book that In the Fire that I've had for years, but just never got around to it,
Okay. So what's bringing us together here is the Blues Cruise. That's and so tell me about how you got hooked up with the Blues Cruise and a little bit about your experience, because it's it's a very unique whole situation and everything. It's completely different than any other kind of gig,
Mm-hmm. You mean as far as like
for you?
One more time. I'm sorry. How
about
the Blues Cruise?
Yeah, about the Blues Cruise and about how it's been for you and that kind of thing.
Oh, dude, I remember the first time I talked to Roger and I was trying to get put on, you know what I mean? Because it's like, like I was at Delmark Records, and I was just kind of like, excited. I would look at the blues, Big City Blues, and look at everybody having fun, look at all the magazines. I'm like, man, I want to get on that boat one day, And I played a cruise with John Primer in Europe. We did a European blues cruise.
Right.
And I was talking to John. John Primer was supposed to play Roger's boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving a bus. I remember the day too. I'm driving a bus, driving Pulaski Avenue, and I get a phone call that I wasn't aware of. It was like some kind of strange number, like the area code.
Right.
So and this is how the stars go, whatever. Because there was no one on my bus, and I pulled over and jumped off and answered the phone. And Roger was like, "Hey, I'm Roger. Roger. Oh, hey, how you doing? And he's like, I was talking to John Primer, and I heard you guys played a cruise. Do you want to play my cruise? I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting to play your cruise for years. And I kind of jumped off the bus, and we got things ordered, whatever. And he, I guess, gave me some people to talk to, or I forgot how it went. But I remember I was on the bus when I got the phone call, and I had jumped off because you're not supposed to like be on the phone with the bus and all that stuff. So, that was the first time. And it, for me, it helped my career because more visibility. And then you see people that, like, for me, being, I guess, a guy with a straight job, as they call it, I would play my gigs in the city, like at Kingston Mines or Buddy Guys. And I would look at all of the books where everybody was having fun, and I would just kind of look at the books and say, wow, okay, one day, eat my little burrito, which was by the, by one of the blues bars up here. And then, which I shouldn't have been, but go to bed right after eating a burrito, right? And have a nightmare. Eating some greasy burrito, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this, but that was kind of like my thing. That would happen more often than not, where I would look in the magazines and like, wow, okay, that's like another plateau. That seemed like, because everybody looked like they knew each other, and then people that I wouldn't have mind played with, or just be part of that experience,
Sure.
And eventually I got my chance, and it was very cool. And I've always been, for me, I always try to carry the Chicago thing on my shoulders, because a lot of people, some musicians say they're from Chicago, but they don't carry the flag like I do, because this is, for me, is rich soil. So whenever I play places like, the cruise, or go off to different countries or whatever, after I say my name, I say I'm from Chicago. You know what I mean? It's like, that's, to me, it's like Toronzo Cannon from Chicago. It's all one name.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think that gives that, I try to represent the history that we have here, again, from the land of the giants, when it comes to Muddy and Elmore James and John Lee Hooker. I'm sorry, Oral Hooker, sorry. And, J.B. Hutto and everything like that. So I try to represent my part wherever I go, and not just be like a musician, a blues guy with no region, So I'm just kind of proud of my region, So when I played his boat, I made sure that I came to represent Chicago, and they knew, if they didn't know my name, they knew that guy was from Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you done any work with kids at all, with high school or any of the Blues in the Schools programs? What you do would be really great for that.
I did one with a guy named Dave Herrero and Phil.
Yeah, sure.
I even did one with Billy Branch years ago, but I was never in Shirley King, but I never was involved in anything like of something that I could do, as far as me running the whole thing,
Taking that to the next point, there will come a time, because you not only do you play well, but you represent well, and you explain it well, and that means that there's going to be young guys coming up to you going, "Hey, man, I dig what you're doing. I kind of like to do some of this myself. What advice have you got for me? What would you tell me how to break into this business, or maybe what I should or shouldn't do?"
I get information from obscure places, and I remember listening to a rap tune by Tupac, and he said, "I found a hole in the game and I sold it." So like, with the needle and thread or whatever. I found a hole in the game and I sold it. And I'm thinking in my mind, okay, I noticed people, again, blues guys in Chicago, they never really, if it came up in conversation, they would say, "I'm from Chicago." Again, that was part of me sewing up a hole in the game, where it's like, okay, I'm going to take on, hey, boom, everywhere I go, I'm a Chicago guy, born and bred, you know what I mean? Been drinking the water for 52 years, that kind of thing. I'm going to take from the masters. I'm going to have relevant songs that speaks to today's blues. Of course, you got the timeless "My Woman Left Me" kind of stuff and all that, and heartache blues and all that. But things like Midlife Crisis or Insurance, or just other types of blues that Chickens Coming Home to Roost, or Preachers and Pimps and Politicians. You know what I mean? I'm just going to talk about today's blues. So I would encourage young people to write your own songs. Find a hole in the market and fill it up, but you don't have to change it and do like a thing like, you don't have to be the Lady Gaga of the blues and just come out looking like, Elton John and doing freaky stuff and all that stuff. But you find a hole in the game and you sew it up, you know what I mean? And that becomes and stand on it and mean it. You know what I mean? Because if somebody questioned me about my Chicagoism, I got them. Because that's all I know. You know what I mean? That's all I know. I know the history of it. I know the history of the blues guys here. And you have to be a student of the genre too. you know, because, just in case you get one or two of those guys to try to, you know, check you on it. Just like, no, I know my stuff, man.
Aside from like, you know, Muddy and obviously, you know, the A-list guys, who are some of the old school guys that just blew you out of the water that you went like, wow, man, this is the deal? I heard you mention Earl Hooker for one.
Luther Allison. There was a place here on Maxwell Street that
Sure.
a guy named Reverend Johnson had a big blue bus. And when I used to hang around Maxwell Street towards the end, before the college bought all of the area up.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to kind of be a sideman in a band called Al Harris and the Six Pack Band. And we would play on Maxwell Street. And you know, my thing was, you know, I had dreadlocks at the time. You know, I didn't really like look like, but I was part of their crew. And I would just kind of see how they roll, and he would say, "I need 3 people to give me $5. That's all I need, just 3 people." You know, and then more people would come up and that kind of stuff. But I could see the hustle part of it and all that. But I'm sorry, I forgot your question, brother. I'm sorry. I'm reminiscing too much.
No, that's perfect, because we were talking about guys that aren't maybe as well known, but are integral to that way the whole thing developed. Because I hear like you're telling me, you know, the hustle goes along with the music. You know.
Oh, dude. So, but Reverend Harris was a preacher, or whatever. He had a big blue bus where he had tapes, CDs, the whole thing. And he saw what I was trying to do, because I would always hang around a bus after the gig. And he had heard, you know, a little bit of it. And I'm again, the left-handed freaky guy or whatever, right?
Right.
So he said, "I want to give you something, young man, because I hear what you're trying to do." And he gave me the CD of Where Have You Been by, it was a live CD of Luther Allison. Where Have You Been? And I was like, wow. And this was before, you know, I had like a computer and all that stuff, you know, or YouTube. It was before that, you know. But I would buy they had DVDs or like bootleg VHS, things like that I would get. So I was, man. And then I realized he was from Chicago, and then Alligator Records and all that stuff. But Luther Allison, but local cats, there's a guy named Chico Banks.
Sure.
Carl Weathersby.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Weathersby, I hate to say this. Carl Weathersby almost made me faint one day. Dude, if I wasn't holding on to the railing, man, I would have passed out, because the music and what he did was so perfect. It was one of the moments. But then you got people like Mike Wheeler, you know, Will Crosby, you know, I mean, these are like Carlos Johnson. I mean, these are people that I would be looking at when I was coming up, like, wow, you know. I opened up for Otis Rush one time, and he was very nice and generous, you know. He played my left-handed flying V the way a lefty would play it. And I'm like, you can play the other way, you know. A Little Ed, you know, these are people that I would just sit and be like, wow, one day, you know what I mean? And, you know, I would play with these and befriend these guys, you know, because I started late in life. So I wasn't one of the little wild-eyed kids. You know, I was a grown man with a job, you know, taking care of a family and doing my thing. But I respected that these guys were doing it, and they didn't have to be my friend, but I just wanted to talk to them and get knowledge.
Sure.
You know, I just wanted to, you know, I want to be the cat hair on the Velcro. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just want to get close enough just to get it, and while as I'm driving the next day, blend in what I heard from them with what I have. You know? So I never had an ego thing about it. Like I come in, I know everything. You know, I understand that world wasn't mine yet, you know, as far as being in and how to do things. LB Banks was another one. You know, Tommy McCracken gave me my first paying gig, you know. He the one made me get a passport that I never used with him, but with myself, you know. But yeah, so just, you know, I mean, the local guys, for me, it was just very cool to learn from the elders, you know.
So I listen to your material. I hear you talk. You're not a guy to sit still. COVID, everything, you know, we just kind of deal with it the way we do. What's next for you creatively? What do you see? You know, what have you not done yet that you know you're itching to do?
Wow.
Another album? Bigger?
Oh yeah, well, another album is another album.
That's a given.
On the short horizon, you know.
Right.
But just more relevant songs, more engaging songs. You know, I try to put thought in my songs. You know, I don't do like the nursery rhyme, what I call nursery rhyme blues, where it's just easy to walking down the street, shuffling my feet to the beat. You know, I'm
Right.
trying to write stories. Things
Sure.
that are timeless, but that, you know, it hits people when it's like, wow, I never thought the blues could say that. You know what I mean? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, relevant stories. So that's my thing. And sometimes I get quiet, even though I like to talk, you know.
Right.
But I get quiet and think, you know, sometimes and just kind of stare off into the distance, and it's like a story, and I write something down or whatever, you know. But
I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear
yeah.
somebody with this whole thing we're going through write a tune called "There Ain't No Vaccine for the Blues."
You know, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You know, my thing, I like to sing in metaphors though. Like everyone now is living in a pandemic time. So it's like, you know, for somebody to write a song maybe about the pandemic, it's kind of like, okay, everybody experienced that. But if you can write a song with heavy metaphors where people, it'll come around and slap them this way. You know what I mean? It was like, that's what he was talking about. You know, something where it's thoughtful that it'll massage the mind another way other than just say pandemic blues. It's like, you know, we know about that because we all lived in it. And most of the people that's buying our music and coming to concerts, they can't, you know, they can't go to the concert, so they know about it. And I think sometimes, when people, they say, is it too soon? I think if you do a song about the pandemic while, you know, pandemic is I mean, right after it happens or whatever, I think that'd be too soon. You know, make it, because a lot of people lost jobs. A lot of people, you know, they hurting real bad out here, you know, and just to smack him in the face with a pandemic song, it's like, we just experienced that. I want to hear some kind of blues that bring me up. But then if you do that blues about the pandemic, it's going to be in a metaphor where they don't quite get it, but they know what you're talking about. And it's not a slap in the face of it. But that's just the way I think and the way I would like to write a song.
Sure.
If
No,
it has
well
something to do
said.
with the pandemic, you know? Yeah.
So what's next on the agenda for you?
Writing, get better my one wheel.
Mm-hmm.
get better helmets, you know what I mean? You know? No, just I hate to say upping my brand or whatever, but just but because a lot of musicians have lost momentum when it comes to, and the thing now is you have to get your momentum back. You have to get your place back from 2000, you know, March of 2019.
Right.
You know, 2020, I should say, I'm sorry. So you have to get your place back in the business, and you got to come with some fire. You can't come the stuff that you did pre-pandemic time. You know what I mean? Even though people are going to be hungry for listen to blues and hear blues, when there's that interaction where you physically there, other than like a live stream, you know, you're going to have to come with it. You can't be, you gotta, I mean, I think everybody's kind of even now. Of course, you know, people have ran faster and had a little bit more momentum than others, but you know, things are like this now. But when the gates are open, you gotta come with it. The blues, I know I'm gonna come with it. As far as, you know, if I can make a 3D show, it's gonna be a 3D show.
Right.
You know what I mean? Somehow,
sure.
if not from my songs, there's going to be something. But musicians going to have to come with it. You can't do the same thing you did before the pandemic.
Right.
You know, yeah.
So when we talked the other night, I said the one question I wanted you to think about was, at the end of all of this, when you're down, you know, years down the road and you're sitting on the front porch, what are you gonna look back on? And hopefully still playing and still doing gigs, you know. But what are you gonna look back on and be proudest of?
The fact that my name, as far as Chicago blues, could be mentioned in the same breath. Could be, and I'm not saying is, could be mentioned in the same breath as the greats, the people that I really admire. You know what I mean? However they Google 20 years from now, or however they do it, when they Google Chicago blues, my name will be somewhere in that paragraph with some of the guys that started this thing coming to Chicago, the Elmore James, the Muddy Waters, the Lonnie Brooks, Otis Rushes, you know what I mean? The Billy Branches. So if my name can be somewhere in that, and the fact that I'm on 2 historical labels, hopefully that'll happen. I did 2 sides with Delmark, which is 66 years in the business, 67 years in the business. And I'm with Alligator right now. So those two iconic blues labels, I'm one of the few that have jump labels, you know, and they both just happen to be in Chicago. So hopefully my name could be part of that Chicago blues thing where I did my part to, you know, to spread the blues around, you know, inside Chicago.
If you keep doing what you're doing and keep writing the way you've been writing and playing everything that I've heard, there's no reason why you shouldn't be, man. It's all really good. And it's got that real great legacy to it, but yet at the same time, it's something different and fresh, and you're succeeding. And that's always great to hear, you know.
Thank you.
How can people get a hold
of man?
Well, how can people get a hold of you? I mean,
I know I got a funny name, but Toronzo Cannon.com.
Okay.
Or if they can't remember that, Chicago, Alligator Records, Alligator Records or Delmark Records. Or if they can't remember anything, they can just Google Bluesman or Bus Driving Bluesman, Chicago, or something like that. And everything will pop up, you know. I mean, that's the Google search. I just punched it in one day, Bus Driving Bluesman.
Right.
And, you know, and it popped up.
There you are.
So I guess what they call the algorithms or whatever. I guess they work or whatever, you know.
Well, listen, man, this has been a great interview. You've had some great stories and your really interesting take on things. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
No, just, hey, to all the blues musicians, we're going to get past this, you know, come out with some fire. And the people, we deserve it. The people deserve it. You know, we deserve to be out there spreading our music, and people deserve to be out there comfortably, safely, listening to our music and having fun like we used to. So let's pick up where we left off, you know, but newer and fresh.
Amen. Absolutely. Listen, it's been great talking to you. I want to remind you folks that after you're done watching this, you can go to the Driftin' and Driftin' podcast, which is now on iTunes, and you can get to hear a lot of his songs that we've been talking about and some other great material. Reverend Billy's saying thank you so very, very much. And thank you folks for tuning us in here on Driftin' and Driftin'. We'll see you the next time around. Stay safe, say hey, and tell somebody you love them. Thank you all. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, here we go, y'all. Yeah. Hey! What you say? Huh. Here I stand, guitar in hand. Everybody knows a Chicago man. It's in my walk, it's in my talk. If your woman want me, it's not my fault. I made some rules, broke some rules, paid my dues, the Chicago way. Over here, we don't mess around. Police are called to shut us down. They hear the music coming through the door. They say don't stop, play some more. I broke some rules, paid my dues, played my blues, the Chicago way. second to none. I was tough enough, don't need no gun. I got the music on my big shoulders, y'all. My name is Toronzo, y'all. I'm gonna get over, check it out. I paid some dues, made my rules, broke some rules, the Chicago way.